How impressed have you been with the job he's done?
Well, certainly Gareth will look at his squad and say, what a group of players I've got. I think most managers would love to try and manage, youngsters and experienced players, what they've got in England. But look, he's done nothing. The second half against Italy was pretty disappointing, if I'm being honest. But they got to the final, which, as Darren says earlier, I mean, we haven't got there since 1966 and won a trophy. But I like the structure and what the FA are trying to do. They're saying, well, okay, you're going to get well paid, but if you be successful. Now, that's more like it. That's because any manager who's going to be successful, win stuff and win trophies, then they deserve to be paid well. It's like a player, really. If you win any trophies year in, year out, you need to be paid well. And so I've got no problem with that whatsoever. Gareth now has got a lot of pressure on him, if I'm being honest, because most of the English fans now be looking at the squad he's got. The hardest thing for Gareth, Darren agrees with me here, is who's he's going to leave out. For the Qatar, how many players has he got now? I mean, people like Smith Rowe have got put there. They've got a chance now, and I know there's going to be injuries probably towards the end of the season, and you might have to look at a bit of the form as well of players coming to the end of the season. But what Gareth has showed, going back last year, he trusts players. Look at Sterling when he was out of form. He was out of form when he played, and he didn't let him down in the Euros. I thought he was excellent. One of our better players, so he trusts certain players, even if you're not playing well for your club, and I think he'll stick up by that. I think he will, but certainly the squad he's got is fantastic. Expectation now, as an English fan, what do we expect? Would we expect him to get to another final? Well, that's what you got. That's what you got to expect.
Exactly.
What do you? Who is your favourite for the World Cup?
I think it's got to be Brazil, isn't it? France have got to be up there, aren't they? Yeah. I think England would be third or fourth favourites. Yeah. I think they'd be in this sort of category of Belgium. Belgium sort of side. I mean, Martinez, we don't know what's going to happen with him, whether he's going to go back into management in the Premier League. I'm sure lots of people would like him back at their clubs. But I think England have got a great squad of players. I think hopefully they've learnt from losing against Italy, because second half, I know an old cliche, you can score too early, but again, they just dropped off a little bit, didn't they? And they invited Italy onto England. But you've got to go for that second goal. You know, you've got Bonucci and Chiellini at back, 36. You've got to get pace up there. You've got to start hitting the ball behind them. They just had a long, hard tournament, Italy. And I don't care who you are, you could be the best player in the world, you're still going to be fatigued a little bit, especially at 35, 36. So I thought tactically he got that wrong. He should have put a bit of pace up there and then started turning Italy a little bit and get it in their half a lot more, because you see Harry Kane dropping off too deep. He was in their half too often. So I think hopefully there's lots to learn from losing in the final, and we was all disappointed because it would have been fantastic for the country. But you've got to give him a chance, Gareth, and I think he's done everything. He's done really well. He's got everybody together. He's got the press on his side, which is so important going forward. With what he's done with the players, and you can always go and have a chat with players now, and I think the press I always thought back in the day especially when I was involved in squads, it was press feed the players, press feed the England.
It was.
And were you encouraged not to speak to them?
You weren't encouraged not to speak to them, but I'm with Ray. There was certainly a divide there.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think maybe social media plays a part in it now, because if, say, the media come out and criticise a player, within seconds they can come straight back at you. Do you know what I mean? Whereas before, it was just the newspapers, and it always felt like, they wanted us to fail so they could hammer us. But all of a sudden, as Gareth Southgate, as you just said there, I think he's responsible for that kind of change now in terms of the media, the fans, because now people enjoy watching England again.
Absolutely. And I think that's a big plus for Gareth, that he's got that. He's got the papers and the press all on his side and all trying to go the right way. And that will help him in Qatar, I promise you. Yeah. And let's hope they can have a good tournament. But, we all know there's some great nations around, and, we're talking about the Euros, but now with Brazil come into it, Argentina, all them sort of sides. You always get a few dark horses as well. Yeah. Who's going to get in there? Mexico or someone like that. So let's look at the moment. I think the press have made a good move there. They reckon they've got the right man, which hopefully he will be. But it's not a Capello deal, is it? Saying, well, there's 20 or 12 million pounds a year, and if you foul, you get paid out. He's more or less said, right, if you're successful, you get well paid, and that's any walk of life. I'm not just talking about football. I'm talking about business.
He's had to earn his stripes. I think in terms of Capello, from what he's done previously, in terms of who he's managed, they probably had to give him that. Gareth Southgate is almost like, right, where do we go? Do you know what? You have an opportunity. Let's see how you do. And he's probably earned the $5 million a year.
You could argue they went for the cheap option. England, but it's worked.
Yeah,
I know he had a lot of success at under 21 level, and he knew the young players coming through, which would always benefit because he'd worked with the players. But I think they went with that cheap option, and we've seen other clubs, club football, go with a cheap option. Spurs got stung a little bit. Manchester United, really, when you look at it, they went with a cheap option with Ollie. Yeah. And it hasn't worked out. He done okay while he was there, but he could have gone to another level if they got the right management at that time.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods. Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.